we're going to talk about no excuses. So I have this little list here that I've been keeping, and I sort of talked to our lifetime members about this the other day. We did a little conference call just for them. But these are some excuses that I get from moms, and I want to talk today about the difference between an excuse and a reason. So we have, there's two different things going on, excuse and reason. And my lighting is not as awesome as I'd like it to be. Let me move some things around. There we go. That's a little bit better. Less shadows. So the difference between an excuse and a reason is, an excuse is I can't do this because, and a reason is I'm going to try to do this for. So I'm going to read you some of these excuses, and then we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about excuses and reasons and sort of how we can get ourselves out of the excuse place. So here's the excuses. These are just ones that I got just in about 3 days last week. I can't read at the computer. It's so cold, wet, or rainy. I don't have a yard. I don't have time. I didn't go to college. I don't have a supportive family or partner. And this one, it's too dark where I live when I get up in order to get up early. And this one that I'm saving for last is actually the funniest, only because I've heard it from my teenager, and so I really don't want to hear it from a mom. And that is, I don't have room on my phone. So don't ever tell me that. Don't ever tell me, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z because I don't have room on my phone. Don't do that. Delete stuff. Fix your cloud. Do something, but don't tell me that you don't have room on your phone. So really what I want to focus on is why we give these excuses and how we can change excuses around so that we can be actually productive. Because if you are absolutely happy with everything you've got going on in your life right now, you're not giving any excuses, and your rhythm is great, and your relationships are great, and schooling is going great with your kids, click away from this video today, because this probably isn't for you. This is for you if you are struggling with things, and you're struggling maybe with your rhythm, with inner work, with school, for your kids. And if you're not homeschooling, maybe you're struggling in your relationships. You're struggling with sort of getting your own personal rhythm down and together. So this is for you then, because the reason why I highlight those excuses is because excuses are something that we give when we're not willing to change what we're doing in order to make the things that we say we want to happen. So if I were to say to you, my morning rhythm is a mess, and I just can't get anything done in the morning. And I say then, well, so what time are you getting up? Oh, my kids are getting up at 8, and we're all getting up together. And I say, why aren't you getting up before your kids? Oh, it's just too hard. It's just too hard. Or, like I said, one of the ones I liked was, it's so dark in the morning. I just can't get up in the dark. Or I love your programs are really great, and I think they would really, really help my family, but I just cannot read from the computer. And I get that. So let's go through some of those. In fact, I put my list away. Let's go through it. The I can't read from the computer one, eye strain is a real thing. I get it. I totally get it. So, I would pick a curriculum that also has a hard copy component. So you can, utilize that. I would go, printers are so cheap these days. You can get a fairly good printer, fairly decent printer for about $100 or less. Get a good printer, print stuff out. Utilize those tools that you have for you, and don't make it an excuse. Also, utilize e-readers. E-readers, if you're not familiar with them, are especially the ones we have one by Nook, and I'm pretty sure the Kindle one is probably just as good. They're great because it looks like paper, and so you don't get the eye strain. And some people will say, oh, I don't know that I trust that. Try it. Walk into Barnes & Noble, pick one up, and try it. It looks like paper. It even feels a little bit like paper when you turn the page. So, utilize the tools that you have in front of you. Don't make excuses. When an excuse becomes a reason, that's a little bit different. So, Well, I have an infant, so I can't get up in the morning. Okay, so your reason there, we need to back that up. Yes, we have seasons in our lives. And if you're family bedding and you're nursing a young one in the morning, in the night, I get it. I have 5 children. I've been a parent for more than 20 years. I understand. We've been attached the whole way. I slept with all of them. So what I did then was I kept, before the age of smartphones, kept my laptop, which was sometimes giant and clunky. So, like I said, I've been at this for a long time, so they got smaller and smaller as time went on. But I kept a laptop underneath my bed, and I would sit up in bed and do the work that I needed to do in bed then. And those were years before I owned a business even. So I would do, a lot of things. Now, there were years before I was convinced that getting up before my kids was important. And I could never figure out why I always felt like I was shot out of a cannon in the morning. Like, what the heck was up with that? Why did I feel so crappy by 10 a.m. and why was I already yelling? And it was because I didn't have time to center myself. So if you're having those struggles in the morning and you're losing your temper because you're not having that alone time, it doesn't work to have that alone time at night. A lot of moms say to me, oh, I get 2-3 hours because I stay up until 2 in the morning. And, then I get, I get all the time that I need. I get all the time that I need. No, you don't, because if you're still yelling and upset and driving your kids crazy and they're driving you crazy by 10 a.m., you're not getting what you need. You're not. So I want you to just really seriously examine sort of what you're doing and how you're going about it. Because if you're having those times when you're really short with your kids, it's because you're not grounded. So all of us lose our temper. All of us. Even me when I'm grounded. All of us. But I lose my temper far less. Like 99.999% less when I've had my time in the morning, when I've been grounded. And so that, like we talked about personal rhythm in videos in the past. So I keep a personal rhythm. I get up in the morning, and I don't work every single morning, because if I did that, then I wouldn't have any real time to myself. So I get up every day before my kids, every day. And if I'm sick and I've overslept and they wake me up, which is I can count on one hand the number of times that's happened in the last 3 years. So that doesn't, even when I had my stroke, I'm like, all right, I got to figure out these medications so that I'm not a zombie in the morning, because I can't stand that. So I had to I have to take my medication. I still take some to take it at 8 o'clock at night so that I don't feel like a zombie at 5 in the morning. So you have to figure out ways to really make that work for you. And again, this is if you want change. If you want change in your life, you have to be willing to do stuff. You have to be willing to do things differently. Because what's that old adage is, insanity is sort of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Don't do that. Don't examine and go, dang it, I've been at this rhythm thing for a lot of years and I just can't figure it out, but I'm not willing to get up before my kids. Don't tell me that. Because that's the key right there. That's the key. And I have a lot of moms that, a couple of moms that are older moms that have said, I never got up, but it was never a problem. If it's not a problem, it's not a problem. But if you are, if you're struggling and you haven't tried this, or you haven't really given it a good try, then that it's time. It's time to do that. So let's see. I like it's not cold, or it's cold, wet, or rainy. I get it. Most of the world right now is freezing their fannies off. And so you don't want to go outside in the morning, or you don't want to go outside with your kids at all. I totally understand that. But here's the thing. Your kids need to be outside. One of my favorite books, I don't have it here at my desk, is about this kindergarten that is in Europe. It's like kindergarten preschool that's in Europe, and it's all outside. All outside. Even in the snow. The kids come and they're dressed in their snow gear. They stay in their snow gear. Everything's outside. So, I would love to stay inside, curled up with a glass or a cup of hot cocoa or a cup of tea, and knit all the time. But that doesn't serve my kids. It doesn't serve my kids, and it really doesn't serve me. Because what happens when we stay in those places is we're much more, when we don't get out and move our bodies, like our adult bodies, we are much more prone to depression. I would say that almost all of the moms that give me that excuse are struggling with depression in some way. And so you got to get out. You got to get out. You got to move your body. Moving your body, and that's not about like, because I'm not this huge exercise fan. I mean, I'm fiend. Come on. I mean, you've seen me. But I move my body every day. I move it, and I may not do all the exercise that I need to do to be a teeny little size 4. That's not on my agenda. On my agenda is getting out and getting the outside time that I need to feel like a good human being. And so you need that outside time. So how do you combat the cold, wet, or rainy? Get good gear. We had rain here. So when I moved to San Diego, one of the things I moved here for was because there was 300 days of sunshine. Wow. The last month, there was an insane amount of rain. And it was making me really cranky because I didn't have good rain gear. So I bought rain gear. And so I could go outside with my kids because they wanted to be out in it and they had rain gear. Doesn't help if they have rain gear and I don't. So if you don't have rain gear or snow gear or whatever gear you need to be out in the weather, get it. Like, make that a huge financial priority for you to get that rain gear. And I'm going to tell you, Amazon has these really crappy ponchos, but it gets you outside. $8 for 5 of them. $8.99 for 5 of them. If you want the link, send me a PM. I'm happy to share it with you. Because that was like the ticket. I was like, I need to get outside. I need to be out there because I get really cranky if I'm not. And once you're in the habit of being outside on a regular basis, like every day, and yes, I said every day, once you're in the habit of being outside every day, then you get really cranky if you're not. So if you've got the cold, wet, or rainy excuse, please take care of it, like pronto. If you're living northwest of where I am, or northeast of where I am, it's not going to get warm anytime soon. It's like February 5th or 6th or something like that, 7th today. Guess what? You're going to be cold for a lot longer. So probably 2 or 3 more months. If you live in Southeast Idaho, you might be cold until July. So please go get some today. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do it for next season. Get some today. Get working on it. One of the best things for me, and people ask me all the time, should I invest in good long johns? Yes, you should. You should invest in some good silk ones or wool ones because it makes all the difference. When we lived in Southeast Idaho, this teeny little corner by Yellowstone, and it was frigid until like June or July. So I wore long johns seriously from like September to May every day, and my kids did too. So make that a priority. I don't have a yard. I like that excuse. I don't have a yard either. I live 3 blocks from the beach for a reason. We go on a walk 2 or 3 times a day. We live where we can walk to a playground, and it's not the greatest playground, so often we drive. So don't make that your excuse. When we lived in the hood for a while, when we first moved to San Diego, and so we got in the car 2 to 3 times a week when we didn't want to go for a walk near us, because really the only thing that was near us was this gigantic cemetery. So we walked the cemetery almost every day, but then we would get in the car a couple of times a week, and we'd drive down to the pier, or we'd drive down, to the water, or we'd drive to a park that had a walk. Do it. Get out. Move your body. It does not matter if you don't have a yard. In fact, we've been the happiest in our condo. We love it. So, but that's just me. I know a lot of people really like to have big yards, and that's different strokes for different folks, right? Somebody says here, Julianne says, it always helps me to find the silver lining to the weather, puddles to jump in, snow to crunch. Yes, ma'am. That's why we got rain boots, because Soraya loves puddles. And so where we live in San Diego, sometimes when the tide comes in, the water comes up over the pier and it splashes the pier, and there's always puddles. Always. It doesn't matter if it's not raining. And so I was really tired of her shoes always being wet. And so she has rain boots that she wears when we go on those walks that she can stomp, stomp, stomp in those puddles, and she has a great time. So yeah, definitely work on, when you're giving an excuse, I want you to look at it and go, what the heck is up with my excuse? What can I do with this excuse in front of me to make it better and to make it not an excuse? Okay, the I don't have time one. What? Why are you doing on Facebook then? I love that I don't have time excuse. I love it because All the people that give me that excuse, generally, not all of them. Okay, so generally, the people that give me that excuse are posting to Facebook like 10 times a day. Why? You have time for that. You should make the time to, like do what you want to do for your family. If that's really what you want to do, if that's really what your goal is, then you got to get off Facebook and make time. Just saying. Get up in the morning before your kids. Then you'll have time. I didn't go to college, and I want to say with this one right now. I get this one probably 2 or 3 times a month, and somehow I got like all of them last week. But I don't want you to stress if you didn't go to college or you didn't finish college, because you can still teach your kids. It's not mutually exclusive. You can absolutely teach your kids. In fact, there's a lot of people that didn't go to college that probably have more like practical sense than people who did. So, please don't use that one as an excuse. You can absolutely do this. You have to do what everybody else does. Even the moms I've got a lot of moms that I work with that are school teachers, and they came from mainstream school to Waldorf, and so it's a whole new learning curve. So they're learning right along with you how to teach history this way, how to teach math this way. It's a huge learning curve for people. So all it takes, it doesn't matter if you've been to college, all it takes is a willing heart and a willing mind. Let's see, the other one, it's too dark where I live to get up in the morning. I love that one too. I love it when it's dark in the morning. I love getting up and making a cup of tea. And it's going to the time's going to change here soon. And it's going to be a little crazy, and it's going to be daylight early, and my kids are going to want to be up earlier, so I get that excuse too. But, I love that darkness in the morning, because that's like my sacred time. So get up. Use that as time for your inner work. Use that as time to commune with yourself and really sort of think about your day, think about what's going on ahead of you. Get your mind in order, because that's, the biggest reason why we yell and why we lose our temper with our kids is because we're overwhelmed and we're frustrated. And why are we frustrated? Well, because we're not grounded. And when we're not grounded, we don't have that space that's sort of like around us to remind us that we are okay. So that's when we yell. We yell when we get overwhelmed by those things. We get overwhelmed because this one is yelling at this one and they're fighting again and all of that. We get overwhelmed by that. But when we're grounded, we can see when this one over here is getting ready to do something to this one over here, and you can stop it. You go, nope, that ain't happening today. Not on my watch. And you can separate that child out. And then this child over here, you can kind of protect them a little bit. But then maybe 5 minutes later, it's this child over here that's being mean to this child. So you have the tools. When you have gotten up and grounded yourself, you have the tools to deal with that better. Instead of, I can't ever get away from these children. I get that email a lot. There's a lot of moms that either have husbands that are deployed, or they're single moms, or their husbands don't help them at all, and they feel like they are in this alone every day. I understand. I was a single mom for a time. And before that, I might as well have been a single mom, because I didn't have a lot of help at home that was help that I actually needed. And so, I get it. I totally get it. And you have got to change the way you look at things, and you have to change your habits so that you can get that time. You can get that time to yourself. Because it's so necessary, and it is not, it's not okay to do that before bed. I mean, yes, that's great to have it before bed, but really what you want is that morning time, that chunk in the morning. I had one excuse the other day that actually somebody put on our wall here. If I got it before my children, I'd have to get up before 5:30, because they get up at 5:30. So do it. I get up at 5. Do it. I would get up, Harry was my early riser, and he's gone living his life right now. But I got up before him, and he would get up early. He was my reason, because I was like, dang it, I want to beat that kid up, because he would not beat him up, but beat him up so I could get up before him. And so when I first started getting up before my kids, I was like, all right, I got to get up before Harry, because Harry's he's on the autism spectrum, and he was ready to engage me as soon as my eyes opened, and I wasn't there. So yeah, get up. Even if your kids are up at 5, and we're talking, I love hours and hours to myself in the morning, but and sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. Usually I get about 2 hours, but even if I only got 10 minutes, I would be happy with 10 minutes. 10 minutes is, and that, so the first thing you do when you get up is you start working on grounding. You don't go, oh, I'm going to hop on Facebook, or, oh, I'm going to, engage in this or that. You start working on grounding. And even on the mornings that I get, I get to spend with Eric, I ground first. I ground first. It makes that time together so much better. This person says, I used to feel overwhelmed, so I started checking myself. Some mothers wish they could be home all day, and little ones, yep, and therefore you're blessed. You are. I mean, I think about all the parents that I know personally that can't have children, that are really struggling to get pregnant, and they see me with 5 little ducks following me, and I, this is a choice I made. It's a choice I made. So whenever I feel really grouchy about this, or I can't wait for you people to get away from me, I go, wait a minute, I chose this. And so for all of you that are really struggling, you got to give yourself a reality check. This is a choice that you make, because you could put those kids in daycare, send them to school, and you could get a job. You could do it. Absolutely. You may not like yourself for it, but don't be a martyr for your kids. Like, make them the reason. Don't be a martyr, though. Don't be like, oh, I have to do this. Want to do it. I want to do it every day. Like, people look at me and go, how can you spend so much time with your kids? I go, well, because I kind of am invested in the kind of people that they become. So I don't mind spending time with them, because if they're crappy individuals to me, then they're going to be crappy individuals to everybody else. And I don't want that. So it's my job. I have stewardship over them. It's my job to make sure they're not crappy individuals to everybody else. It's my job to make sure that they get it, that they ground themselves, that they learn the inner work, that they learn the personal rhythm, and they do learn it. So I have adult children, and so like Harry, he's serving a mission for our church. He was like, Mom, this is so easy. I love rhythm. And they have this rhythm every day. They have to get up at 6, and they do their scripture study at like 7. They can't leave their apartment until like 10. They have all these things they have to do. They're supposed to exercise. He's like, this is awesome. This is just like he's thrived on personal rhythm because I've taught him. Eleanor, 16. How many 16-year-olds do you know that would, by choice, like I don't force her, by choice, get up every morning at 6 a.m. to go to a class at church every morning? When we lived in Utah and Idaho, we didn't have to do that because you could go anytime during the day. California, every place except for Utah and Idaho, you got to get up early in order to go to seminary. So anyway, back to my excuses here. I love I don't have a supportive family or partner. That one is hard, and I've sort of talked about that a little bit. I really work with the people within my own house, and really work with how we feel about each other. And so so I'm going to work on family first. So that would be people that are outside your home. Work on how you're feeling inside your home first. If you have a partner that you're really struggling with, I can't recommend enough our Thrive program. We teach couples how to talk to each other, teach couples how to work on rhythm together, how to work on holding the space together, how to sort of come together and talk. And we've had some great successes in that group, great successes. Couples that maybe they really felt like they had a good marriage, but now they feel like they have a great marriage. Couples that were really, really struggling. Like we had this one couple at Christmas time. My heart is so happy for the changes that they've made, because they were about to split, and now they're together and they're really working on things for their children and for themselves. They love each other, and they just needed to really work through things. So if you are really struggling with your partner, Thrive is the way to go. It's at least a place to start. If you're not, especially if you're not sure that you need marriage counseling yet, you want to try something else, or if your partner's not willing to do marriage counseling but they're willing to do something else, absolutely try Thrive. And then here's this last one. I don't have room on my phone. Like I said, don't ever tell me that. So my 16-year-old tells me, I go, why don't you have room on your phone? Oh, well, there's these concert videos that I really just don't have to download again. Stop that. That's what she tells me. If you've got things that you need to delete from your phone, delete them. Otherwise, I understand that for iPhone users, you can use iCloud, use Dropbox. Dropbox used to be that you could get like 5 gigabytes free. I'm not sure how that is anymore, but Dropbox integrates with your phone. What's other thing that's great with Dropbox is that, and I also use OneDrive. I use OneDrive because I have a Surface computer. And so I think that one for the smallest version is free as well. But what's great about those is you can have those apps on your phone, and then it's on your computer too. So anything that I save to my computer, I can put into OneDrive or Dropbox, and it's on my phone. So you can have all your pictures backed up that way, and you have everything like that synced. So you don't have to save it on your phone. What I usually do is I go through about once a week and I check Dropbox and make sure everything uploaded, because sometimes it doesn't upload if you're not in Wi-Fi unless you tell it that it can. So I make sure that everything's synced that I need, and then I delete the pictures on my phone. That way it doesn't take up extra space. And it's really easy to get a Dropbox picture. You just go to it, click on it, download it back to your phone, send it to whoever you want. Really easy. Or you just send them the link to the picture. So don't utilize that as an excuse. I don't have room on my phone one because we're grown-ups here. Fix it. So anyways, I want you to now step back and we're going to talk for a minute about reasons. And so this is what I want you to be thinking about. Rather than, I can't get up before my kids because I'm just so exhausted, I would rather you say, the reason I get up is for my kids. The reason I do this is for my kids. Or the reason I get up is for myself. So like I get up in the morning for myself because like I said, I like being alone. I like getting up, and actually somebody asked me this today, and I haven't had a chance to respond to her, so maybe she's watching. What do you do when you get up in the morning and your partner's up getting ready for work and you keep bumping into each other? I would step back and say, hey, honey, I'm going to go hang out in the dining room by myself for a little bit. I will see you before you go to work. And then just separate and get in the other room and, spend time apart. When Eric and I get up in the morning, he's usually off taking Eleanor to her class, and I'm up working or doing handwork or something like that. And I do that in the mornings. I get up and I do handwork on some days. On the days that I'm working all day, I do handwork in the morning so that I feel really grounded, add that extra bit of grounding before I work all day. And or I do lesson planning. Lesson planning is awesome. It's often what I'm doing in the morning. And that's not like my full lesson because I've done my planning already. This is like prepping for the day, or prepping maybe for the week a little bit more that I didn't get a chance to do over the weekend. So utilize that time. It really helps if you have a plan for what you're doing when you get up in the morning. And it's at the same time, don't get frustrated then when your plan gets interrupted by a kid getting up early. One of the things that I do to help keep them in bed when they're little and when we're still co-sleeping is as they're and I talk about this, I have a blog post on whispering, so look it up. But I lay down next to them and I rub their back and I whisper in their ear, it's safe. Mommy is going to get up early in the morning and you need to stay in bed. It's safe for you to be in bed. It's cozy for you to be in bed. You need the sleep. And I whisper in their ears. And it works, I'm telling you. It may not work the first time, but just be consistent about it. And then if they get up, if you're getting up at 5:15 and they're following you out of bed at 5:30, go right back to bed. Go back to bed with them, lay down with them, get them resettled, go potty if you need to, get them resettled, and get them back to sleep. And then try again. And like I said, if you're in a place where you don't feel like you can actually leave the bed, get that laptop under your bed or use your smartphone. All you gotta do is sit up in bed then and get your, you can do so much lesson planning on your phone. So much. I use my phone so much for those sorts of things. If you're, want to get your Facebook time in, that's the time to do it. Trying to catch up with people, check on your email. All of those things are really productive things to do while you're sitting up in bed with a baby that won't let you move, or the toddler that won't let you move. So, and you can dim your screen a lot so that it's not super bright. Work on the dimness. Utilize these tools that you have, and don't make excuses. Excuses are so detrimental to yourself. And what I say to people is, if this is something you really want, don't make an excuse about it. Let's figure out how you can do it rather than you telling me why you can't. And because otherwise it must be something you don't really want. And that's okay. It's absolutely okay if that's not something you want and it's something that's important to me or something that's important to your friend. If it's not important to you, then you're not going to stick with it. So if it has to be important to you. So that's it for today. I want you guys to go work this week and don't make any excuses. And when you feel yourself making an excuse, step back and go, is this true? And examine it, and then walk forward in the reason rather than standing in the excuse. So I hope you have a great week.